All right, everybody, thanks for coming. So all of you are here because we are going to do a quick tutorial on how to use your Jawku percussion gun. Now, the whole reason why percussion technology has kind of exploded over the past few years is because the science shows that as you work out for both restorative, regenerative, pain therapy, all of these things, we have had the ability to improve recovery time and get the body ready to go through your workout a little bit quicker, a little bit faster, and get started without having as many injuries. So this is what we're trying to do, is promote blood flow to the body, get lactic acid to start returning into the bloodstream after our workouts, and give the ability for the body to start moving the way it should so that we don't have foot problems, calf problems, extremity problems, and areas where you lifted heavy or you might have pushed a little bit harder. We're giving it the opportunity to recover quicker. Couple of quick things on the specs and the reasons why I chose the Jawku over a lot of the other options that are out there. Number one, when you're not first to market, sometimes you can make things better than the originals. So it's only 2.2 pounds, where some of the other ones are a little bit heavier. We've had the other ones in the past, so we know about that. It's got a 15-degree handle. I like that, and I like the way it's set up because when we start to get to our personal positions in the back, we can get to places a little bit easier than we could with some of the original versions. You will notice that this one, when you turn it on, you will turn it on the top, like so. And when you look at it from this angle, the bottom 4 lights tell you how much it's charged. So using each of the 4 dots, it's like 25%, 50%, 75%, 100% charged. Usually the battery life is about 16 hours. On the top, we've got 5 more lights. So there is your speed 1 through 5, and they go up in 1400 RPMs to 1800 RPMs, 2200 RPMs, 2800 RPMs, to the highest of 3200 RPMs. Now, what does that mean for you? Well, basically what we're trying to figure out is how many times is this handle going to go back and forth over the course of a minute, okay? Repetitions per minute. When you guys are on level 1, that is going to be the least amount of pressure that we've got as an option. And then when you get up to level 5, that's going to obviously be more intense. Makes sense, perfectly logical. There are areas that you may not ever get beyond a 1 or a 2, and I'll show that when I bring Kelly up here, how to use them. But there are other areas where the muscles are bigger, you want to get a little bit more intense vibration, so you're going to put it at level 3, 4, or 5, and you're going to want to really dig in. Now, some of you who are looking at your sheet are probably going to ask, what is a stall force? What does that mean? It means that if you've had an opportunity to try it yet, oftentimes you're just gliding over the skin, but sometimes you're kind of digging in a little. Well, stall force is about 56 pounds on this, which basically means you got to be pushing pretty darn hard for it to start to jump and kind of move on you. Now, it's going to be a little bit different if you're on level 1 and you push hard into your quad or you push hard into your glutes. It might start stuttering, and that's when you know, if I want to push that hard, I might want to ramp up the speed a little. Make sense? Next, there are 4 different heads that come with it. The 2 that you'll see us use most commonly at the gym are the foam one and the flat head. And they're the ones you'll most commonly use because they're the most gentle. They're going to help you glide over your area a little bit more fluidly than some of the other options. Now, another option that we have is what's called the fork. Now, I don't believe the science is quite there yet for trainers and individuals to use this particular head any better than, say, a physical therapist might. A physical therapist is going to be able to use this head with a lot more intention and go a lot smoother through it than we will. The other good thing about this is that you're not necessarily going to be able to do this to yourself and do any harm. But the whole idea that it was built for was to kind of mimic the sides of the vertebrae. I'm not sure that that's something that I want the lay people doing. I think a physical therapist should be in charge of that. So you're not going to use this very often, except for sometimes on your neck and your calves, and I'll show you that. And then last but not least, we have the bullet, and the bullet is like, if you've ever had a massage or you've ever had trigger point therapy and you've had a massage therapist kind of stick their thumb in and they're kind of digging in, this will do the same thing. I can promise you, as somebody who's played this a little bit, you're not going to go to level 4 and 5 on this one because that will shoot you to the moon. Make sense? Perfect. So I am going to ask Kelly to come up here, and I'm going to have her take a seat. And as she does, I'm going to go through a couple of things. She's going to sit right here for me. I'm going to go through a couple of things that I would do if I was teaching this to you individually, but things that you can also do to yourself. Okay? So Kelly, if you would take your left foot and put it on your right ankle. Now, this is, I'm going to put her on, say, a level 3 right now, okay? And what this allows you to do, oh, I should probably also state that part of the other reason why I did this is because it's super quiet. And those who have ever had to use some of the other guns know how loud that can be. This allows you to do work right over the shoe. So if you feel, as you can see Kelly's face, I've never done the over the shoe thing to her in all the years we've been doing this. But you can definitely feel when you're at a higher RPM at the end of a workout, if you come over here or you go home and you add this in, you're definitely going to feel how that is going to take a little bit of tension out of your foot, especially if you're one of those people who does this when you work out. And notice, when we're doing something like this, I'm just kind of going back and forth. I'm not doing big, quick motions. I'm kind of just going fluidly all the way side to side and up and down. It doesn't have to be 2 seconds, we don't have to go super slow, but you could. If you're suffering from some plantar fasciitis, you might want to go super slow through that range of motion, okay? And I would use either the flathead or the foam, which I'm using right now. Now, Kelly, I'm going to ask you to take your shoe off. The other thing I like about this is that all you have to do is grab a wipe from the wall, or if you have just like a little disinfecting at home, you can just wipe them off, because who knows what's on the bottom of your shoe. Okay? Now, if I'm going to do her foot, and I would do a little bit less force. Now, if she were to do this herself, which we're going to have her do in just a second, Kelly's going to take her left hand and put it right here. Take her right hand and grab, and she's going to just go across the bridge of her foot like so. Now, I'm on level 2 right now, and the whole concept of why I like to stay at a lower RPM is there's a lot of moving parts in your feet. Okay? There's a lot of nerve endings. There's a lot of bones. We don't need to start jamming these in there. We're trying to promote blood flow. We're trying to promote recovery.
Am I just staying here at the ball
So
of my foot, or can I go?
All I wanted, it's exactly a good question. We would do an area for about 5 to 10 seconds. Now what I would have her do is work her way, work her way up and down the tendon from the big toe to the heel. If you've ever been here for when we use small ball therapy, it's very similar, but it's going to be a little bit more gentle than lacrosse ball or rubber ball therapy. Now, she's going to keep working through that on just that one foot. A couple other reasons that you would want to work on your feet is that that's the main part where you're on the floor. So this is where everything starts. And if you're going to spend 2 minutes working on your body, I would start with my feet and work my way up if you were going to try and do the whole body. Now, I'm going to have Kelly just stay there for a second, and what she would then do is she would work through her calf like so. So you're going to go ahead and do that. Because the whole concept is I want you guys to see how you can do this by yourself before I have an opportunity to show you how, if you ever needed one of the trainers, or you yourself would be able to refer back to this if you have a spouse at home or a child who's old enough to help you, where they might be able to kind of help you get in there. Now, that's all she really needs to do. If you have a calf, if you feel like you've got some cramping, or you really did a lot of hills one day or whatever, you could spend 3 or 4 or 5, 6 minutes on one area. But if we're going to do the whole body, we don't have to. So what we're going to do next is we're going to work our way from the inner thigh to the quad to the outer thigh and then the hamstring. So she's going to just kind of rub through, and I would say that I would want her to go a little bit slower through her course of action, just kind of like 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, 4 1,000, 5 1,000, and then back. And just keep working through that, that range of motion. Now, if she feels a knot, maybe she wants to stay there a little bit longer. But notice, it's not, what I'm showing right now is more of a, I just want to go through my whole body after a workout, or I want to go through my whole body when I wake up in the morning or before I go to bed. Okay? If you're a little stiff in the morning, I read an article about how the percussion training is really helping people kind of get their blood pumping at the beginning of the day, to just kind of like a hot shower might for some people, or a cup of coffee might for some people. Some people are finding this is super helpful. Okay? Now, I'm going to ask Kelly to stand up for me. Okay? And as she stands up, I'm going to have her turn around and face the back. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how you would do your glute, and then I'm going to show you how she would do her glute. So I believe the glute should be divided up into sections. So I'm just going to move your shirt out of the way here. So this is kind of up in towards the top of the hip girdle, and I would just move across. Okay, now this is what a trainer might be here for, and I'm actually going to put this on level 3 because I think that'll help a little bit more. Kelly can just literally grab it like so, or she can grab it. There's multiple ways to do it, but she would work it the same way. Now she's not going to be able to push in the way a trainer would, but that doesn't mean she can't get some relief if she's really having a hard time. Now, I'm going to take it back from you, and I'm going to move it down and kind of get up underneath into the glute. Now, a lot of you feel this if we have a heavy lunge day or a heavy glute day. Kelly, same thing. Just grab it. You can grab it. That's exactly where I was going to have you grab it. So you can grab.
It's easier to grab it here than on the.
Part of the other reasons why I like the Jawku is that you can hold it upside down. You can hold it the way Kelly's handling it now. You can wrap your fingers around it more like a gun. You can hold it at the very, very end if you're trying to get to a hard to reach area. So that should also give you some possibilities to get in there. Now, we're going to just say that if there were one more area I would work on, it would be up in here. A little harder for Kelly to get to. Kelly, you want to give it a shot? But that's also an area of insertion that you might have some challenges with if you struggle with that. Now we're going to have Kelly turn around. Okay. What I would also do is I would have her working through here towards the insertion of the quad. Okay. So why don't you take a shot at that? Now the hamstrings can be a little bit of a challenge for people because it's behind you, but we're going to show you how to do it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Kelly lay down, and I'm going to do her lower body as if, say, there's a couple couples in the room. You could help, your partner out, and that would help. So I'm going to take this from Kelly. She's going to lay down on the bed. She's going to take her shoes off.
One shoe off.
Yep, well, take one shoe off. Now, I know that you guys don't have two, but just so I can get through her body faster, I'm going to show what we could do at the gym. So literally, if we were here and you said, hey, I'd like to spend 10 minutes with a trainer, I'm going to set up an appointment to come in and do that. This is kind of how I would start, and I'm just going to do lower body real quick. Okay? So what I'm doing now, just to show you, is I'm going right up through the midline. Okay? And I can already tell Kelly's dancing around because of her right calf. Then I'm going to go outside. Again, I can see her right leg is much more challenged, but we've known that on her for a little while. Then I'm going to go inside. All of this part is everything you can do on yourself, no problem. And a lot of you don't realize how much tension starts in your feet and calves. So just by adding this in might change how you do things. Now, if I were to continue to work on her as a trainer, I would probably do one leg at a time. But this is how you do hamstrings. Now, Kelly, just sit tight for a second. If I were going to do hamstrings on my own, we didn't show this at first, but this is kind of where I would go with it. Okay? I would do it from a standing position because it's a little bit tougher to do from a lying down position on yourself, but she could very easily reach behind and do that. And I would work from outside in or inside out. Doesn't matter to me which way that works. Then I would come up and I would kind of work in a circular pattern, going across the top, down the bottom, down and around to the outside, and then I would work my way back. I would go up to the middle and kind of work my way down. Now let's say Kelly said to me, hey Bobby, I'm really having some trouble with my right piriformis or my right IT band. Well then I would kind of maybe spend a little bit more time doing a little more pressure point, a little bit more hold and dig in a little bit. And then just to prove what I was talking about before, got it on level 3. Watch what happens to the gun if I push, if I push too hard.
Oh.
Luckily we're married, so I can do that. Okay? So because I don't want to kill her, if you notice, if I push too hard, it stops. Okay? So, I would go down, knowing that she's having some trouble on this one side. I would get through that glute on this side. Okay? Now, for the sake of the tutorial, I'm not going to keep going through the whole body. But what I am going to do right now is I'm going to show back.
Do you want me to take this off?
Nope. Okay. So I like to start at the top and work my way down. And I will go on each side of the spine. I'm not a big fan of going on any bony parts. I've seen some videos where some physical therapists and some people who are a little bit more trained than I am have the ability to do that. But as you can see, you can hear how much vibration is going right through her chest cavity and her belly just by going up and down. I would then spend a little bit of time, and for video purposes, I already know that Kelly's had some shoulder problems, so I stay away from some areas. Okay, so Kelly, just sit up. Now I would probably do that for another 2 or 3 minutes. Okay, so if you really like your spouse or it's Valentine's Day, and you want to really be nice, you can spend some time on it. But the real question is how do you do that to yourself if you don't have somebody at home? Kelly, would you flip around to the other side? Okay, so again, actually I'm going to have you take that off because of the hood. So if Kelly were to, and I'm going to put her on level 2 right now, okay? So I would have her grab the handle. She can either go across her body, like so, okay? And she'll kind of dig in. Not quite the same on yourself as if you have somebody who can help you, but it's not terrible.
Yeah,
It's still pretty good,
still
right?
get into the tough spots.
Okay, now, she also has the capability of coming up from behind this way. So I'm going to show that. So hold it, good, and then flip it around, there you go. Now, if you're a little less limber, that might not be the easiest thing for you to do. But you can see how that's an easier way to get into your lower back, a little bit more so than not at all. Okay, obviously, 2 minutes of time, on yourself is going to be better than none. Make sense? Okay, I'm going to have Kelly flip around, and as she does, that's just a brief overview of upper back and lower back. Now, you might have seen people in the gym doing this all the time. There's a lot that goes on right here, okay? And you guys are going to end up realizing how much time you'll spend personally on the pectoral, okay? Why? As Kelly gets an opportunity to do this to herself, the main reason why people have neck problems and back problems is not necessarily due to injury, but it's due to posture. And what happens is, especially with people who end up doing a lot of chest or a lot of push-ups, is your chest gets tight. Well, if you don't do a lot of back rows or back pulls or pull-ups, then we get here. Now combine that with our phones, our desks, and our steering wheels. These keep getting shorter, and that now creates bad cervical posture and bad mid-thoracic posture. So by giving this some room to lengthen and get back up, and I see a lot of you shaking your head because you know this is something that I talk to you about regularly, you can really feel a big difference. Now Kelly's just, she's spending some time moving through the range of motion, okay? But this is someplace that if you have not had an opportunity to do this, give yourself 5 minutes to work on this and watch how all of a sudden people will notice you're standing up straighter, okay? Now, Kelly tends to, because she plays a lot of tennis, she tends to have trouble with her bicep tendon, tennis elbow, all of those things. Now, this happened to be on level 2, which is what I would want. She's going to take her hand and she's going to start right here and work her way right down the bicep tendon, or the bicep, I should say. okay? So I'm gonna let go. She's gonna kind of work, and she can move a little bit smoothly.
You hold it for just a second.
Yep. She can move a little bit smoothly. She can go just in long sweeping motions, and she can even just hold. But what most people don't realize, and that would be an example of stall force, she kind of started to get away from her because she was pushing hard, but it didn't have enough pressure to stay there, okay? Now, what most people don't realize, Kelly does, is that a lot of times the tennis elbow comes from the forearm part on both sides. So you might be able to see her face. She's realizing, yes, that would be me. So I'm going to let her do it on herself, because the benefit about having this and doing it on yourself is that you know your pain points. You know, I have to be able to have the ability to read her face, but you can see she's kind of digging in a little because that's her personality, but you very easily could just smoothly go over it. Now, she's choosing to dig in, but what if you went from the side? And now the vibration's not necessarily north and south, it's a little bit more east and west, so it won't feel as bad if you do it that way. Now, let's take some people who have, why don't you do your other side? So let's take some people, and I'll let Kelly finish that, who have some carpal tunnel problems. Well, we can very easily do the same thing to our hands that we just did to our feet, okay? Now, probably not going to be the same going on this side, but I wouldn't rule that out. Some of you might feel a lot of relief there. A lot of people with carpal tunnel problems, problem starts here. It's that their forearms are super tense, which is why when you see us doing stretches in class, oftentimes it is, we're doing a reverse bicep floor stretch. Well, this is just another way to get in there and do that. Does that make sense? Perfect. Kelly, you can take that off to the side. I'm going to bring Jack in for a second. Now, the only reason why I'm going to bring Jack in is because Kelly has had some cervical surgeries, and I'm not so sure, just have a seat, Jack. I'm not so sure that I can show exactly the same things that you would be able to do to yourself because we can't do them on Kelly because she's no longer allowed to. So, this is Jack. Jack's a baseball player. As you can see, his natural posture is forward. So, we were just with Jack, and so we would do a lot of this on Jack. And we would, he's a baseball player, and I'm on his throwing arm, so he's very unhappy with me right now. But if you notice, I'm not digging in. I'm just moving through this, okay? Also, having a lot of, it is on level 4, yep. I'm also spending a little bit of time loosening this up because I need to get this back down to a level 1 or a level 2. Why do I need to do that? Because now I'm going to start getting in here where a lot of people are pent up. So Jack, I'm going to ask you to pick whichever hand is more comfortable to grab it with. Okay. And I just want you to go back and forth from here to here on this side for me. Okay. So I'm actually going to have you stand up so that they can see you. So just turn around. Okay, whichever side you want to do now because they can see. Okay, perfect. So if you notice, he could lift his elbow up and get in there this way, but he can go back down and do it a little bit more from the side. And he's just going to work right here through the trap. This is whenever I'm telling many of you get out of your neck because you're trying to lift like this. This is part of what's happening there. Okay? Now this next part that I'm going to show, Jack, you want to do your other side just while I talk about it? This next part I would only use in extreme circumstances of you really having some challenges through your neck because there's a lot of parts of your neck that you don't want to hit. So I'm just going to go briefly over it. So that if you really are having, you slept wrong, you're having some trouble. So I'm going to take this, nope, you're going to stay right where you are, okay? And as a trainer, I would go through here, and I would be able to just briefly go up and down the side of his neck, from roughly the bottom of his ear, all the way through his shoulder. Now, he would take this hand and pull it across. Nope, pull your head like I was pulling. And then he would take this hand and just move it up and down his neck. Again, level 1, level 2. Now, there are lots of studies that are going to come out now because the percussion gun is a few years old. It's becoming more prominent. There are more and more companies making them. So there are going to be more and more opportunities for people to use them for both positive and negative. Meaning people are going to start doing things and it's like, no, that's not what it was meant to do. And we're going to learn what not to do just as much as what to do. But hopefully what that did was give you a brief overview of what you can do on yourself and what you can do with a partner. So now that you have an ability to use this properly.